Damage 365 Radio Network.
Why, hello there, everybody, and welcome to episode number 77 of Real Sports Talk with Kenny Kluska. Of course, I'm your host, Kenny Kluska, here for the 77th time. I will have another top 10 list coming up later on in the show. If you've listened to my previous shows, I love doing these top 10 lists, spark debate, and, they're just interesting to research. So we'll get into that after the commercial break. Let's look at what is coming up in sports, though. We are 8 days away from the MLB trade deadline. This year it lands on August 1st because normally lands on July 31st, but this year, July 31st lands on a Sunday, so they're making it August 1st. A lot of names out there. No big names really traded yet, but, Chris Sale is a guy who's been named. I read possibly a Melvin Upton for Ubaldo Jimenez trade could possibly occur. There's various trades out there. Teams, searching for their needs. Mets in need of hitting. Marlins in need of starting pitching. Orioles in need of starting pitching, which, I know Ubaldo hasn't been good in a few years, but, still a starting pitcher. I don't know why they would trade him. So, I'm sure a lot will go down over this next week. I'll have more to talk about on next week's show regarding trades that may have went down and, who may have improved their chances at, not just making the playoffs, but potentially, making a run for the World Series. I'm sure I'll have a lot more to talk about regarding that coming on next week's show. What else do we got? We are 12 days away from the opening ceremony of the Summer Olympics, 2016 Summer Olympics, taking place in Rio de Janeiro. Of course, once every 4 years, so that's definitely something to look forward to. We're 46 days away, coming close, 46 days away from the NFL season opener. That is between the two representatives of last season's Super Bowl, the Carolina Panthers, and the Denver Broncos. Of course, will be without their quarterbacks from last season, Brock Osweiler, who signed with the Houston Texans, and Peyton Manning, who retired, on top, winning the Super Bowl. Of course, also reigning MVP Cam Newton, still, of course, quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. Should be a great game. Opening Sunday of football, 7 weeks from today. And the 2016 preseason, for those that are just pining to watch any football, the Hall of Fame game is 2 weeks from today, Sunday, August 7th. Green Bay Packers will be taking on the Indianapolis Colts. So we got football coming real soon for you, as I mentioned. Baseball game tonight is the Dodgers and Cardinals, two teams fighting for the two NL wildcard spots, along with the Marlins, Mets, Pirates. Still plenty of games left, but, both those teams right in the hunt. I believe they are the two teams that currently own the wild cards. Actually, I think the Marlins might be a half game ahead of the Cardinals, but, both right there. And tonight, for you WWE fans, is the next installment of a WWE pay-per-view on the WWE Network for just $9.99 per month. Tonight is WWE's Battleground. decent card. I believe there's 9 matches, including the pre-show match, which is between Usos and Breezango. So I don't know. I'm not interested in that. Maybe someone is. Another match that really doesn't make much sense to me at a pay-per-view. Becky Lynch versus Natalya. Don't get me wrong, both two talented females, but I believe they were drafted to different shows, so it's really a one match and done for that. Then we got Sasha Banks and a mystery partner versus Charlotte and Dana Brooke. Bunch of names being speculated as to who that mystery partner could be. I would have much rather seen the title put on the line, but I guess they're saving that for SummerSlam next month. We got Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the 10,000th time. New Day versus the Wyatts, again 3-on-3. New Day not defending their titles. I guess once again saving it for SummerSlam. Then we have John Cena teaming up with Enzo and Cass versus the club of AJ Styles, Anderson, and Luke Gallows. AJ Styles has been separated from his other 2 club members, so this could be the last time in a while we see the 3 of them in the ring. Then the 3 title matches we got tonight. U.S. title, Rusev defending his belt against the challenger Zack Ryder. For the Intercontinental Championship, we got The Miz defending his title against Darren Young. In his corner, of course, Bob Backlund. And the World Heavyweight Championship, which will see a returning Roman Reigns in a challenger situation, along with the other challengers, Seth Rollins against Dean Ambrose. Triple threat between the 3 former members of the Shield. At least for the 3 title matches, I really don't expect any of the 3 titles to change hands. Miz should retain, Rusev should retain, Ambrose probably will retain in order to continue the storyline, whether it's with both of them or just Seth Rollins for SummerSlam. We'll also have Jericho's highlight reel tonight with Chris Jericho, and his guest is Randy Orton. We'll see. Not exactly high hopes for this pay-per-view tonight. Maybe we'll get some surprises. Maybe Sasha Banks brings out a really interesting partner. Imagine if it was like Trish Stratus. It won't be, but, how crazy would that be? But let's hope for the best and, see what happens. Real quick, I did want to mention Chris Sale. If you did not see, he was scratched from his start yesterday. At first they said it was because of a non-physical incident in the locker room. Well, it turns out he wasn't fond of the throwback jerseys, I believe, from 1975 that the White Sox were being forced to wear. So what did he do? He cut them up and made sure that none of his teammates had to wear them. And, for that, the White Sox sent him home. And it's been since announced that he's been suspended for 5 games. Definitely been one of the names on the trading block. Read that the White Sox are looking for 5 top prospects, in order to part with Sale, who's, if not the AL Cy Young right now, probably in the top 3. My first thought when I heard of this, my first thought was, he's on my fantasy team, what the heck? I was kind of annoyed. My second thought is, man, do I really want to see this? I'm really hoping that there's some type of security footage out there from the White Sox locker room, where someone could show us what Chris Sale actually did. If he just took a pair of scissors and started cutting away at all the uniforms or what. Twitter and social media has been having a field day with this, with all the memes they've been putting out. Chris Sale was just not happy with those jerseys. He said they make him feel extremely uncomfortable. And, he said he believed that the reason they were wearing them wasn't for, it was just for memorabilia sales and things like that. That was more important than actually winning games. He's had beef in the past with the front office of the Chicago White Sox. They probably will still get a large haul. I doubt this, affects his trade value. He should still get a large haul for the White Sox in prospects if the White Sox do decide to trade him. Other names that have been potentially mentioned as trade bait is Jonathan Lucroy, catcher on the Brewers. Then we got Carlos Gonzalez, outfielder on the Rockies. Read today Shelby Miller, starting pitcher with the Diamondbacks, who has been a solid pitcher, throughout his young career until this season. I believe his ERA is over 7 this year for the Diamondbacks, and they traded quite a bit, to get him from the Atlanta Braves. So we could safely say that trade was a fail for them. As I mentioned, trade deadline, at least non-waiver trade deadline, 8 days away. A lot of teams see holes that are surfacing with their ball club and, may look to fill those holes in order to secure a spot in the playoffs. There's a bunch of teams, just off the top of my head, Phillies, Brewers, Reds, Braves, Twins, Athletics, Rich Hill, another guy who could be traded. Red Sonny Gray could be traded. It's just a lot of speculation, just as in every sport. I remember when the basketball trade deadline, this past February, how many names were being provided by the media as potential guys who could be traded. Usually only about 5 to 10% of those guys actually do get traded. Same goes for baseball, but it's still exciting times, especially if your team is in the playoff hunt. Of course, another guy I didn't mention, Aroldis Chapman. I've been reading that the Yankees are very close to trading him and that they will keep Andrew Miller. Who will get him? I could see a team like the Nationals definitely going for him. Yankees do want Joe Ross in return, but the Nats aren't quite fond of making that move. As I mentioned, next week's show, it'll be the day before the trade deadline, so, I'm sure some trades will have gone down. We'll find out, this upcoming week. Going to take a short commercial break right now. When I get back, if you could tell by the name of my show, you should be able to tell what my top 10 list will be about.
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order. Hello, ladies. I'm the Big Balbooski here, and you're listening to Damage 365 Radio. Wrestling Superstores, selling wrestling memorabilia from all around the world, including WWE, TNA, Japan, Mexico, and the very best of the independents. They've got action figures, DVDs, autographed memorabilia, t-shirts, and more. Plus, stop in and get tickets for great promotions like UWA Elite, CZW, and many others. Located indoors at the world-famous English Town Flea Market, Green Building booth number 35 on 90 Wilson Avenue, Manalapan Township, New Jersey. Open every Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Log on to Facebook.com/Funkenstein Inc. for